Hello and welcome to London Property. Today we have a special feature for you because at the beginning of the month, actually middle of the month, the HMRC held a listening clinic to do with the pending changes to the non-dom status and potentially inheritance tax. It seems that the changes are likely to happen in 2025-2026. The general consensus was that 4 years is not long enough and that this should at least be aligned with education. And people were already getting excited about the prospect of coming to the UK just 4 years to sell their businesses, take the tax advantages and leave, which will make the UK quite transient. These people will be unlikely to set roots here, employ people, use services, but it will be very attractive for people to come here and sell their businesses here. So I suppose that's something. Consideration should be made for the fringe cases. So these are people who might be considering moving back to the UK. They could be Brits from abroad and they'll be looking to move back to the UK in the next year or two. And what happens to them? Do they have to wait until these changes come into effect, or can there be a consideration for these fringe cases? So for people who are going to move back their funds to the UK using this regime, those in cash positions are obviously going to be a lot more mobile and it'll be a lot quicker for them to do this and less expensive. But those who are in corporate structures or trust structures are going to have to spend a lot of money on fees unless it's kept really, really simple. So for those who are on remittance basis and they're already paying an annual fee for their non-dom status to be here, then the repatriation of their funds should be kept simple to encourage them to stay. Some people who are bringing money from abroad would have already paid some taxes in other jurisdictions, and it might be too late for them to do anything about the taxes that they've already paid. So some sort of protection should be in place for those people for the rates that they've already paid. This also then leads to the requirement to have updated treaties with other jurisdictions so that it is easier for people who are moving between borders to pay tax efficiently rather than double pay. Now, inheritance tax. So the one thing that was very, very clear in the room by everybody who was there is that this is a big game changer. And since the government's already making so many changes with the non-dom status, it might be wise to hold this one back. What they have said is that there will be no consultation period for changing IHT. And one of the questions that came up, which was quite interesting, is that if you leave the UK, you're still going to be liable once you've qualified for having to pay IHT here. You're still going to be liable for paying IHT for the next 10 years after you left. So what happens if you die 9 years and 364 days later? So these are things that do need to be addressed. Trustees are going to have to handle a lot of things, and keeping things simple for them is also important in order to ensure that the costs of doing these and the fees payable and the administration is kept to a minimal. Now, if you're listening to this and you've got a lot of comments to make and you'd like your voice to be heard, then do please get in touch with us, because we can email towards this listening clinic and add to the comments that were already made on that day.